Rob, we're on the verge of a second Aviva Premiership season for the Chiefs. How much are you looking forward to it?
This is what it's all about now. This is what we worked so hard to get here for. Playing Premiership rugby, going away to Leicester, it kind of brings it all home, really, doesn't it? It's where we are as a club at the moment. Slightly concerning, that we start off with no points again. But that's what every start of the season is about. So for us, it's about performing well more than anything else. We concentrated on that last year. If we perform well and the players do themselves justice, we'll take whatever we get out of the game. That's what you have to do in the Premiership. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. I have a feeling we're a strong squad, and I think in most games this year, if we perform well, we're going to be in with a good shot of getting something out of every game. So that's going to be our focus, just performing well, getting up there in good nick. We've had a good training week. And now it's down to the players to show us what they're made of.
As we know, the Premiership is not easy, but Leicester away, first game up, it's good and bad in some ways, isn't it? Especially with the World Cup year, but Leicester will be tough.
Yeah, I think the key for us is not to get too distracted by the fact that there's a lot of talk about the clubs who have lost a lot of players and how that will affect them, because I think that can work as a bit of a negative for you. I think we've got to concentrate on ourselves. The truth of it is, teams who lose a lot of players in World Cups are still the guys who seem to be fighting out at the end of a Premiership season. So although it does affect them, it doesn't affect them as greatly as a lot of people anticipate. So as we said, we've talked about it this week. It's not about us worrying about who they haven't got playing. It's about us worrying about who we've got playing and how we want to play, and the performance we want to put in at Welford Road.
Welford Road last year, for 70 minutes, it was going to be the stuff of dreams, wasn't it? And Leicester showed their class in the end. They came back very strongly and got the win. Yeah, we learned a lot that day. We learned a lot that we were a good attacking side, and when you're hot, you can score points. And we also learned that when things go cold, you can concede a lot. And there were some tough lessons learned that day, but ultimately very good for us in some ways. I think perhaps if we'd have held on at the end there and got something out of the game, whether that we'd have really sat down and looked at ourselves and learned as much about what the Premiership is about as we did, I'm not sure. So I don't look back on any of the games last season with any regrets. I've just said earlier on, we're only this is our 23rd game in the Premiership as a club, and we've still got some learning to do, and that's what we must do. We must attack every experience as a chance to get the most out of it that we can, regardless of result. And I think that's been a big positive for us, that we aim to get something out of every game. Now, sometimes results will go against you, but I think if you perform well and you give yourself an opportunity on the pitch to achieve some things you're working at, then you can keep progressing forward, and that's what we'll aim to do. We'll aim to just be a team that's still progressing, through the course of the season. Pre-season has been tough as always with Paddy and his regime and that, but 3 really good workouts. The first 2 saw lots of tries. Last weekend was a real battle, and we saw the defensive side of the Chiefs.
We've had a nice balance of pre-season games, a nice bit of time away in Ireland, and a good run out down at Pirates, and as you say, a real kind of, not a slog out, because it wasn't that kind of a game. It was a game with massive amount of ball in play time, which is sometimes difficult. It doesn't always happen in Premiership games. They tend to be a little bit more tactical. In that game, Scarlets were kind of keeping the ball from one 22 to the other, and we were doing a lot of defending. There wasn't massive set piece, there wasn't massive amount of tactical kicking, so it was a good workout for us in a different way. Plenty of running, as you say, plenty of defensive organisation. We had plenty of ball as well. A lot of phases got played, so we've kind of had a bit of everything this year. Nice that we've won games, because obviously winning is important, and obviously for us we've just got to try and keep a winning mentality and work very hard to be a positive side.
The way it's gone and the way the club have moved, how do you see the progression for this season, Rob? Where are the Chiefs? Have you set any aims for it?
No, we're pretty open and honest with the players about things, and we keep saying to them we just want to be a little bit better, and I think we didn't get any points at Welford Road last season. Well, to improve, we give ourselves, we get something out of the game. That would be a sign of improvement from last year. But first and foremost, it's about us putting ourselves in a position where we're not looking over our shoulders. I think every coach in the Premiership will say the same. They'll probably want to get through this first block of games and have a look at the table and start to feel comfortable that they can start, continuing working on their plans and progressing as a side, and not be too concerned that the next win's the most important one, because they're dragging along the bottom of the table. And I think that's, like I say, that'll be the same for every Premiership club, and it's something we've got to really work hard to try and just separate ourselves away from the scrap that happens very quickly at the bottom of the league, because that's pressure rugby, and it's hard to deal with that week in, week out.
Yourself and Ali both said last week that selection ahead of Scarlets was one of the toughest you've had since you've been coaches here. How tough was this week for the first week of the Premiership?
It was tough. It's tough, but it's tough because we've got a good group of men here, who are good guys and have worked very hard. And when you're dealing with 30-odd players who are working as hard as these guys have and have committed themselves to pre-season and all the training and the games as these guys have, it's not nice knowing that you're going to have a large group of players disappointed. That's what makes it tough. Selecting sides is part of the job, but it is tough when you've got a lot of committed players who are disappointed. That said, most of the guys have bounced back very quickly from it. We've had 2 very good training days, which has been massively important to us. I think as a squad, we appreciate that you've got to work hard when you're not in the 23 to make things work. That's been a real strength of ours, and I think that will continue to happen. And all those guys are obviously everyone's going to be involved in some game time this weekend, with us having the Monday night game here against Worcester, and then hopefully we'll have some selection headaches on Tuesday morning, because I want guys pushing for places. I want players who are disappointed because they feel they're on form and they could add something. But at the same time, I'll be more concerned in 6 weeks' time that I'm still having these headaches. And I'm not looking around trying to find a player because we've got a couple of injuries or we're losing form. So, we're in a nice position in a minute that we've got a strong squad and, as I say, some tough selection decisions. But I have a feeling this season's got plenty of rugby in it for everybody.
Finally, there's talk that you might add a new face before the weekend, not necessarily starting at Leicester, but Pat Phipps coming over from Australia. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, well, we're looking to finalise things with Pat. That's pretty close to getting sorted, and hopefully we'll see him in the next couple of days. And I'd like to think we'll get him over here in time to be in contention for the Worcester game on Monday. Get his feet under the table and get him up and running with us, because he's only likely to be here for a relatively short length of time, for a couple of months. Although potentially if things go well, whether other things may come on the table, we'll have to wait and see. But it'd be nice to get him up and running pretty quickly, because we are a little bit thin there with just the 2 guys at the minute.
Brilliant, thanks Rob.
All right.